Um, I think I think it's working. Welcome to my first commentated live stream. I'm not used to this at all. Um, we are we are a little over 20 minutes away from the launch of Starlink 6-1, carrying the first ever Starlink version 2 satellites to orbit. And I guess we can go over what that mission is. I just need to check something really quickly, so I will be back in approximately 1 minute. And I have returned. I had to do a quick time check to make sure that my stream was properly good. Now I need to see if my stream is actually commentated or am I just talking to a ghost. Epic. So we can go over what this mission is and how significant it will be for the future of Starlink and SpaceX. So Starlink Group 6-1 is the first ever launch of Starlink version 2. Very exciting times. This is a Starlink version 2 mini. So this is testing some of the basic designs of Starlink V2 that will eventually ride on Starship, hopefully later this year. Will hopefully ride on Starship in the future, later this year. Um, this does not have the normal just about 60 satellites now. This is only carrying 21 satellites, and you may be thinking, 21? Well, couldn't this make this a return to launch site landing? No. Because the satellites are smaller than the old version 1, they are heavier. But that is why we only have 21 today. And I do also believe that will be it for the future also. Today's booster is booster B1076, flying for its third flight, and will make an attempt to land on a short follow-up gravitas. Um, Something very exciting about this booster is that on Echo Star 24, hopefully later this year on Falcon Heavy, this booster will be a future Falcon Heavy side booster. So this booster will first fly as a Falcon 9 as it is now, and will in the future fly as a Falcon Heavy side booster. We are a little over 20 minutes away, and I will get mission control audio up as soon as it is, and I will check now here. Okay, we have mission control audio, so I will get that up. 1 second. Um, in 1 second, we can go over the missions this booster previously supported, and it's actually some very exciting missions. YouTube.com/SpaceX. This is my first ever commentated stream, so if it's a little bit sucky, that's why. This booster is a very young booster. The B1070 series of Falcon 9 is the newest and latest series of Falcon 9. So B1070 to B1079 is the newest round of Falcon 9. And yeah. So this booster has the first mission supported was SpaceX CRS-26, and its second mission was OneWeb 16. And obviously today supporting Starlink 6.1. SpaceX, epic company. Let's hope I don't get an ad. I'm gonna get an ad. Ooh, am I not? Yeah, I didn't get ad. Epicness. Alright. And let's get mission control audio up. And you can see someone there walking on the screen. People there excited about rockets and spaceflight. Looks like they're just checking it out for now. And everything seems to be going fairly well. Oh, and you can see there is the T-minus 20-minute vent that Falcon 9 does just before stage 2 liquid oxygen load. So once this vent is completed, that means that the lines will be purged and ready for stage 2 to begin receiving the cryogenic and super chilled liquid oxygen that flows into both the first stage and the second stage tanks. Everything continues to be proceeding very, very well with Falcon 9. Um, there is one issue they are tracking. Well, not much of an issue, but it's something they're paying very close attention to, and that is the solar activity currently from the sun. That is what pushed this launch. This launch was originally scheduled for, I believe, 1:38 p.m. Eastern today, and now it is scheduled for 6:13 p.m. Eastern. So I do recommend, if anyone here, there's only 2 people watching, if I do recommend, if anyone here watching is in the North, South Carolina, Southern Virginia, Maryland, portions of Delaware, where I am, basically just up the. Well, actually, wait, no, disregard, disregard. This launch is not flying up the coast. It was before, now it's going south. Disregard. Disregard. So I do recommend if you're in the North and South Carolina and maybe some portions of Maryland and South Virginia, or excuse me, not South Virginia, disregard South Virginia, North and South Carolina, obviously Florida, um, and some parts of Maryland. I recommend you take a peek outside. This is about 10, 11 minutes after sunset. Um, this is not flying up the coast, sadly. The next mission we'll have to wait for that is Crew 6 on March 2nd or this Thursday, which I will be live for. Hopefully outside getting pictures.
Stage 2 LOX load has started.
And we have just heard the call out that Stage 2 LOX load has started. That means the super chilled liquid oxygen has begun flowing into the second stage tanks. And about a minute and 30 seconds into the flight, some of that super chill liquid oxygen will begin flowing into the Merlin vacuum engine that excuse me, the Merlin vacuum engine that is housed inside of the inner stage, which is that black portion of the rocket, about little over 2/3 of the way up. And you can see there some of the events there on the side. I do need to fix the position of this camera because the the positioning is questionable. And at T-minus 0 seconds, we'll have liftoff. T-minus 1 minute, 12 seconds, maximum aerodynamic pressure, or max Q. That is the maximum structural loads the vehicle will experience during the flight. And then at 2 minutes and 26 seconds to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we will have first stage engine cutoff, or MECA, where the 9 Merlin engines on the first stage will shut down, stage separation, and stage 2 ignition just shortly after, and then payload fairing jettison, which is the pencil-looking structure on the top of the rocket housing the 21 Starlink version 2 satellites today. And I don't really feel like reading the rest of those, so you guys can go ahead and read those for yourself while they're on the screen. Once again, today's booster is booster B1076, flying for its 3rd time, and will make an attempt to land on the shortfall of Gravitas drone ship, positioned downrange off the coast of Florida. And yes, I was right, ASOG. we do expect to have live audio today, and the camera we have today, I believe, is about 1.6 miles away from the rocket, so the sound will get there in about 4 to 7 seconds. And yes, I will mute my mic so that you guys can embrace the sheer power of Falcon 9 and those 9 Merlin 1D engines. In total, Falcon 9 produces about 1.7 million pounds of thrust. In the future, we will have an overlay of each part showing what is where, outlining the lightning protection system towers, the rocket, the TE, and there so on and so forth. And also, we do have an announcement video coming out, hopefully tomorrow, about a big change coming to this channel. I will say we are having a big video and upload change from our usual content of shorts. So very exciting. And you can see there one of the Marine asset helicopters just patrolling around to make sure that no one is not where they're supposed to be, and to make sure boats stay out of the keep out zone, and to make sure that everything remains well. And I can make an attempt to get the keep out zone up on screen. Just give me one quick second. It seems it is not here where I found it last time, so it looks like we're not getting it this time. Everything is continuing to proceed well on the Falcon 9. We have had no issues that we know of so far. As you know, earlier today, at T-minus 2 minutes and 12 seconds, Crew 6 did scrub. They did have a launch scrub due to a T-Teb transfer issue in the booster. Hopefully we don't see that same issue today. Well, I guess now, since Crew 6 was today. Everything that we know so far is continuing to proceed well, and we continue to see no issues. Hello, fellow space nerds. Hello, Oliver the Space Nerd. I know you. I don't know if you can hear one of my dogs in the background. He's an interesting one. It seems that mine is about 10 seconds behind, and you can see a great graphic there of Falcon 9 on the screen. If you want to go ahead and look at that while I attempt to fix the stream. There's also a train passing by, which I don't think helps my issues at all. Alright, we have corrected the time. Good job. All good. Well, while this train passes, I will let y'all read this, and I'll also grab a water while this passes, so please stand by. Alright, I have returned, and I have water now, and the train is also gone. So you can hear me now. Amazing. There's not too much else to really talk about. This mission, for the most part, is just a normal Starlink launch. There's nothing too off about it besides V2 and the very minimal amount of satellites on today's mission. all does continue to go well. And you can see another purge vent there on Falcon 9 for T minus. Why is my stream that? Or wait, was I reading this wrong the whole time? Or I think my stream might just be very, very behind. Oh wait, abort, disregard. It's because this is wrong. Why is that so far back? There we go. We are at T minus 8 minutes and 35 seconds until the launch of Falcon 9 and Starlink 6-1. I don't know why that was so far behind. And once again, we continue to track no issues with the Falcon 9, and all is continuing to proceed nominally. I said normal. Oh my god. Nominally. And, well, I guess this can be something that I can show on stream now. 1 second. And I've returned once again. In the future, I know it's not the best, we are going to have Starbase. Starbase used for testing and launch that I'm not going to disclose the launch date, even though I know. Yes, I know the launch date. Don't yell at me. That's just something we hope to have in the future. It's not the best quality, but, you know, it's good. It will provide us views that we will not get in trouble for using, and that I won't get in trouble for using. We will have to send someone out there to clean our camera, though. Ew. One of my dogs is having, like, an interesting time in the background, so that's fun. What is that noise? I don't know which one it is, and I don't want to know. Anyway. We are at L minus.
Engine chill has started.
We have just heard the call that engine chill has started, which means a little bit of liquid oxygen has begun flowing into the turbo pumps of the Falcon 9. This is thermally conditioning the engine so that at ignition they do not get thermally shocked by the cryogenic propellants. And once again, we are at. Oh, excuse me. We are at L minus just about 5 minutes and 20 seconds until liftoff. And also, just before launch, we will cut mission control audio about 30 seconds before launch. We will cut mission control audio, and I will take over commentary
Stage 1
from
fuel
there.
load is complete.
I don't know what they said, but I will have to turn this up because that is very quiet. Yeah. So, about 30 seconds to a minute before launch, just after Falcon 9 goes into startup and LOD gives the go for launch, I will be taking over commentary and be giving you live updates from my SpaceX employees that I know in the background. That kind of helped me do this a little bit now, and they're kind of the reason I wanted to start this. So that's interesting, yes. But it's also good because I can bring you guys the most up-to-date and, well, you know, live data as possible, which is beautiful. see an up close view there of Falcon 9 ready for liftoff of a bunch of satellites. There is a spot on my screen and I thought it was something on the camera.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
We have just had the call out that Falcon 9 tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract, and you can actually visually see that on your screen. That has already happened, and that's because my mission control audio is 2 minutes behind. Why is that? Interesting. Yeah, it looks like all my streams are like 2 minutes behind, which is weird. Especially for this. I'm working. Problem solving on stream. I love it. Okay, well, we don't. I need. It's okay. We can get rid of that. And we don't need our 39 AVU either.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
And we have just heard the call out that stage 1 liquid oxygen load has been completed on the Falcon 9 first stage. And I'm making sure that everything is as up to date as possible. Alright. At 40 seconds or so, mission control audio will be cut, and we will be taking over from here. In a second here, we should be hearing the call that Falcon 9 is in startup.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
Why is this so delayed? Okay, well, Falcon 9 should be in startup by now. Alright. Well, it looks like my OBS is the most up-to-date thing, so we're going off that. Everyone, LD should be go for launch at this time. I don't know because it didn't want to work. I'll sort that out in the future. Enjoy the visuals, enjoy the launch views, and enjoy the sound of those 9 Merlin engines. We have ignition of Falcon 9 and liftoff of Starlink 6-1 carrying the first Starlink version 2 satellites to orbit. Go Falcon 9, go Starlink 6-1. And we will get the sound. Here it comes. Enjoy the rumble.
Hope you enjoyed that natural sound from the rumble of the 9 Merlin 1D engines. It was quite a sound here locally at Kennedy Space Center. The Falcon 9 is now arcing.
And we're going to cut the view from space flight now. You can see Falcon 9 now pitching downrange to get on that proper trajectory to get to orbit. That is what we call a gravity turn. To get to orbit, you don't just have to go up, you have to go sideways very, very fast. 25 times the speed of sound fast, in fact. Now, just a few seconds ago, we would have heard the call for MVAC engine chill, which means the Merlin vacuum engine chill has started. Um, and as you can see, the plume is expanding. That is because there is not enough air pressure. There is more air pressure at sea level than there is in the vacuum of space. And that plume is expanding due to there not being enough air pressure to hold the plume in, and it starts to expand. Now we should have main engine cutoff. Yes, we do. Stage separation and stage 2 ignition. You can see there the that is the second stage, propelling the rest of the Starlink satellites to orbit. And here we should have fairing separation soon, and I believe that has already happened. Yep, fairing sep should have just happened by now. And now we will most likely have to rely on SpaceX views to get us the rest of the way. Oh, and we are going to get a visual of fairing separation that already happened about 20 seconds ago. SpaceX's stream is a little bit delayed due to them streaming in 4K, and you can see that the two payload fairings there falling away. Both of those fairings were flying for their first time today. And you can see here we do have live SpaceX views. Trying to get this alignment right there, and there we go. You can see the full screen there. On the left, you have booster B-1076 making its way home down to the drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas to make its third ever landing attempt. And on the right, you have the Merlin vacuum engine burning and propelling the 21 Starlink version 2 satellites into orbit. Make sure my stream's working. Okay. The next major event coming up that we will have is the re-entry burn or entry burn of the first stage booster. That helps slow down the booster before it hits the dense parts of the atmosphere to make sure the atmosphere and the peak heating does not tear it apart on its way back. And you can see now the altitude decreasing and the velocity starting to increase as stage 1 begins to fall back to Earth. And you can actually see there, illuminated by the sun very well, you can see some diffraction spikes, which look like diffraction spikes, but it's not. That is the engine chill of 3 of the 9 Merlin 1D engines on reentry. You will only see one light at first, and then you'll see 2 outer ones light to make sure it does not put too much force on the vehicle at one time. You can see the engine chill process has started there. And now you can very visually see the booster decelerating, and there is the reentry burn of the first stage. You can see 1 and then 3, and then it will go back to from 3 to 1 to 0. And there's that shutdown to 1. There's a shutdown, should be happening now. And entry burn shut down. Get entry burn from the first stage, booster B1076, now making its way back to the shortfall of Gravitas drone ship for its third ever landing attempt. The next major event coming up today is the landing burn for the first stage. It looks like we did lose connection there on the booster. That is very normal. And it looks like we do have it back. The booster is continuing to nominally make its way back to a shortfall of Gravitas for its third ever landing. Looks like we did lose telemetry in the corner, but we do have a good visual of the booster to know that everything is going well. And you can see stage 1 landing burn has started for Rooster B1076 for the third time, attempting to make a landing on a shortfall of Gravitas. And you can see the booster there coming into view on the drone ship. Landing leg deploy. Oh. That, that looked a bit off nominal. That, looked like a slight bit of an issue there. On landing, it looked like the booster slid on the legs, to the back direction, or to the side, I guess from the drone ship's front perspective. That just looks like something that can normally happen if the booster started its landing burn just a little bit too early, which looks like it happened because it looked like the booster hovered a little bit and also slid backwards. Something SpaceX will have to continue to work on with the Falcon 9, even though it is their workhorse vehicle. And we also have had the call for nominal orbit insertion, almost a picture perfect landing for this booster, a beautiful sunset in the background. And with that, that is going to wrap up our live coverage of Starlink 6-1. And you can see some fire suppression there hosing down the booster. This will wrap up our live coverage of Starlink 5-1. We do hope you enjoyed, and we do hope to see you for our next webcast, or our next commentary stream, which I'll hopefully have more people with me. I'm your host, Starship24, and we hope to see you next time.